everybody. Welcome back to the Gossip Gore podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about the movie Stream. It just came out a few days ago on August 21st, and we went to see it on the release day at a very special screening.
Yeah, Art the Clown was actually there. It was really fun. We got to talk to him, and he did a Q&A. And we're going to be talking about that at the end of this episode, so stay with us. We have a special video, and we're just going to talk about some of his favorite kills for Stream, and kind of his experience while filming, and some fun little facts.
But before we review the movie, we want to talk about the production company a little bit beforehand, because they are killing it right now. They've honestly had a really meteoric rise, and they've worked on some of our favorite films in the last few years. So we're going to get into that a little bit. And back to when they started.
Yeah, they're definitely up and coming. We're really excited to see what they're gonna do in the next 10 years. It takes 10 years to become an overnight success, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. And they're kind of really getting there where they've obviously been trying to get to for the past 10 years. I mean, Fuzz on the Lens production started in 2010. And it consisted of 4 people, which was Michael, Jason, Steven, and Kyle. And it kind of just was born out of a love for cinematography, making films, and love for horror, number one. And that's kind of why I think that these films that we've seen from them are so good, because it genuinely is just people, very small crews, just who love horror and who are having fun making these videos.
Yeah, definitely. They kind of got their first big break, right, with the Staten Island Clown. So if you don't know what the Staten Island Clown is, it's kind of an internet phenomenon that happened in the sort of mid-2010s, where this production company got together and they thought of an idea for a movie that isn't a traditional style movie. So the Staten Island Clown is the main character, and the audience is the public. So
Genius.
So they executed this plan, and it was like an overnight success. It started being reported on in multiple countries.
I mean, we're in California, and we heard about it. And mind you, this is in Staten Island, which is all the way across the United States. So this just kind of shows you how big this actually was.
Yeah, and it kind of started an internet trend. I think after this, a few years later, we started seeing loads of videos online of people running away from clowns at night, and it started becoming a thing. And it potentially even led to the popularity of Terrifier, and the reason that clowns are now like part of pop culture again.
Yeah, you could definitely say that. They worked on a lot of films. One of them is Halloween Awakening, that they actually entered into a horror film festival. It didn't end up happening because of some legal issues we saw, not on their behalf. But yeah, they got accepted into that festival. It's called Halloween Awakening. It took about a month to make. Just, a remake of Halloween, the movie. So this just goes to show, like, they truly are horror fans, and they really are just doing this for fun. They did a few things, one of them being an It documentary, and also a Freddy Krueger documentary as well.
So yeah, they went on and started doing short films and documentaries, right, over the next few years until like 2015, 2016, when they got the opportunity to work on Terrifier.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of their, I would say, second big break, because I would consider the first one being the Staten Island Clown, because that did make global, news. And
yeah, you can, if you want to watch a couple of really cool interviews, they were on a late night show in Staten Island called Late Night with Johnny P.
Yeah, we watched those last night.
And
we
they're
really
great.
loved them.
They're hilarious, and you can really tell when watching the interviews the characters of the guys in the production company.
Yeah,
because it's just a laugh. They're just having fun.
Yeah, they're just jokesters, honestly, and they just do this to have fun. And we're gonna talk about that in Stream, because you could really see the laughs that you're gonna have while watching this movie.
Yeah, and then when they started working on Terrifier, like 2015, 2016, Michael Levy was actually taken on as the assistant director, so that definitely gave them a lot of like experience, and they actually play a couple of roles in the movie. So Michael plays the maintenance guy, and then his brother Jason plays the cop at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
So
and
you
not
start
only in this movie, do you see them acting, you kind of see them acting in their own movies throughout the entire 10 years. Like, every movie that we've mentioned, they've starred in. Also, another one that they did, which is the first movie that they actually got funding for, is called Abnormal Attraction, and it's a horror comedy. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, totally. And that kind of brings us on to Stream, and Stream is no exception. They both play roles in Stream. And we want to talk a bit about behind the scenes and how this movie got made and what the inspiration was.
Yeah, we kind of got to see a few clips from behind the scenes and really show the DIY aspect and what went into making this film. And it actually was shot during the span of COVID. And this was, before the vaccines and everything. So everybody was kind of quarantined in the hotel room, including hotel guests.
Yeah, so it was filmed in this hotel, obviously, over the COVID quarantine, and some of the guests, or a lot of the guests, apparently, didn't know that the movie was even being filmed, and so would come out to find these bloody, gory scenes, and were totally freaked out.
Yeah, can you imagine just staying in a hotel and just seeing like blood and makeup and all this? I mean, I guess you wouldn't even know it's makeup.
Yeah, but that's it's a cool part about the movie because of the circumstances of what was happening at the time. A lot of the cast who were flown in or starred in the movies had to quarantine as well. So there's this sort of hotel with all of these super famous horror stars filtering through day after day
Yeah.
over sort of the
Sounds like
6 month
so much
period.
fun.
It does sound like so much fun.
And it also took place in Gettysburg, and we also saw another behind the scenes of where they converted their grandma's garage for this movie as well. So you can just kind of see the DIY aspect that they brought to this.
Yeah, and they did build a couple of sets, like the scene in the bathtub scene. I saw behind the scenes of them building that set. So some of it's built, some of it takes part in this hotel, but ultimately it's all filmed over the COVID-19 quarantine,
Yeah,
which
and
is
and they
crazy.
actually sat in a hotel room when they were writing this movie as well.
Yeah, and the dialogue is really cool in this movie for sure. But another very special thing about this is that Damien Leone, who obviously is the writer, director, and special effects guy for all the Terrifier movies, took part in the special effects on this movie as well because he was also quarantined in that same hotel while this movie was being filmed.
And boy, oh boy, the kills in this movie and the special effects are really awesome.
Yeah,
And they're unique. They came up with some really unique ways and things you haven't seen before. And Damien Leone was actually editing Terrifier 2 while doing this movie stream. So he'd come out, do the special effects, and then go back into the hotel room and edit Terrifier 2. And when they needed him, he'd come back. So you can just kind of see what was going on in this hotel during COVID.
yeah, totally. I mean, the special effects for this movie are really like pulling out all the stops. Like the special effects in Terrifier are amazing, but this movie, the kills are all extra gory. The special effects are extra gruesome, and it definitely makes for a really fun watch.
I feel like the special effects that he does, when you see them, you know, oh, that's Damien.
So Stream has a really crazy cast. I mean, the amount of horror movies that have been worked on by all of the actors in this movie is in the hundreds. I mean, these are some really accomplished horror actors. To name a few, Danielle Harris, who obviously plays the mum in this movie, is really well known for the Halloween series. The main bad guy in the movie, the main killer, is Jeff Coombs, who's known for the Reanimator series in 1985 and all its sequels. There's Dee Wallace, who's the old lady at the very beginning of the movie, if you remember, who is
Yeah.
the mum in E.T. She's in Cujo. She's in The Hills Have Eyes, the original one in 1977. There's Tony Todd, who is the original Candyman. So just a huge cast of really accomplished horror actors in this.
You know, the first scene, everybody kind of is like, all right, what is this movie going to give us? You can kind of tell in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, like the acting, I think in the first act, I wasn't really sure where the movie was going to go,
Yeah,
if I'm totally honest.
We're like, is this campy? Is this funny? Is this scary? Like, what is this movie going to give us?
Yeah.
But it delivered.
No, it totally did. And like there are certain like horror performances that you might be able to argue are like a little bit over the top. For instance, in Terrifier 2, Sienna and Jonathan's mum, right?
Yeah.
The acting's a little over the top. You're kind of
Yeah.
like,
But I kind of enjoyed that.
it's believable. It is believable.
Yeah.
And that's definitely certain aspects of the acting in this movie too, is that you kind of have to get into it. You have to get accustomed with the style of the movie and the feel of the movie. And it's gruesome. It is super gruesome.
It is. The kills are intense, but they're good and they're creative.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
So the premise of the movie is basically there is an online stream that happens again and again that involves people being killed. So there's 4 players in this movie, and their goal is to get the most creative kills. And then there's people online betting and placing bets on the results of this crazy game that takes place in this hotel. It really reminds me of the movie Hostel.
Yeah.
So if you look at Eli Roth's interviews, who's the writer and director of Hostel, the idea and the inspiration for that movie came from rumors of a real place where that actually happens, where businessmen will pay money to feel what it's like to kill someone. And there was rumors of that being a real thing. So you can only imagine that maybe the concept for this movie could also be a real thing. You get the idea that it might be possible, might be believable.
Yeah, and with Hostel, which is also one of our favorites, you never kind of get that comedic relief. It's all just very dark, dark, dark. So I feel like something that they definitely wanted to add to this one was have that dark aspect, but also have a laugh every now and again.
Yeah, and there's lots of comedic relief in this movie, like the drunk guy.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite characters. I was telling him about it. So yeah, if you want to have a laugh as well, then this definitely is a movie you'd be into. And I really like that they brought that to the table.
Yeah, there's also a lot of comedic relief from David Howard Thornton's performance. He plays player 2, so one of the killers. And he's definitely similar to how he plays Art. He's very, very animated, almost like theatrical in the way that he does everything.
Yeah, and they're all wearing the masks. So you can't see his face. And obviously we know from Art the Clown, he's very animated in his face. So it's kind of interesting to see him play this part, having his face covered, because he has to use his body language and his movements.
Yeah, so overall, I really like the concept of this movie, and I really like how they set up the next movie because we know that potentially it's going to take place in like a mental asylum or a hospital or something, and it's going to follow that same premise. And I think that's really cool. I think they did a good job setting it up.
Yeah, I definitely think this is going to be a major franchise, and I'm really excited to see where they go with it on the second one. I definitely am going to be there to see it.
Yeah. And then also another thing we really loved about this movie, both of us, was the music, right?
Oh yeah, the music is so good. Like I love the old vintagey vibe mixed with the modern day horror.
Yeah, Paul Wiley does the music, and he obviously does the music for Terrifier as well. And you can tell, I mean, the mix of this modern concept with this like Carpenter type synth music is really cool, and I hope it stays a part of all of their movies.
Yeah, it's something. It's a reason why I definitely love all the movies that they make. I feel like the team and the production company and Damien Leon, they all are kind of building this signature style that I love, and that's why their movies and franchises are my favorite because you can tell when you see those special effects, you know that's Damien. When you hear the music, you know who's making it. When you see the movie, you know who the production company is behind it.
That's so true.
And I think that's really why they're gonna make it really, really big, even bigger than they are now.
Yeah, I think now what we should do is get into some of the kills, some of the specifics. So, just a forewarning, if you haven't seen this movie and you want to see it, you might want to stop listening because we're going to talk about the specifics and some of our favorite kills and favorite special effects moments.
Yeah, there are probably over 10 kills, I want to say, in this one.
Yeah, maybe.
There was
Maybe
a lot.
more.
I tried to count, but it got a lot. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, so my favorite kill, I think, is tied. It's either between the bartender, Mark, the character, right, who gets killed when he's playing a arcade game. And that kill is not only super brutal, but I really like how they kind of tied it into the fact that he's breaking the rules of horror movies, right? He's having a drink,
Yep.
he's hitting on the mom, and he pays for it, right? He's killed by player 1 in a seriously brutal fashion where he gets his like face smashed into the arcade and his eyeball comes out, and it's just like really cool.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of those kills you can tell that Damien Leon is taking a huge part in that because it has this really vintage vibe and like
Yeah,
his face getting crushed in, his nose gets cut off. It's just like really, really gruesome and cool.
yeah, it has Damien Leon written all over it.
But yeah, it's between that one and then the tic-tac-toe kill, which obviously is so cool.
That one is either my first or second one. I can't decide between those two as well, but this was definitely probably the most creative kill that we saw in the movie. They literally play tic-tac-toe on somebody's like stomach, and it's Art the Clown, which is player 2, and also his little sidekick, which we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, I think it's actually supposed to be like his sister if I remember from the Q&A that happened afterwards, I think it's actually supposed to be player 2 and player 3 are actually brother and sister, and that they maybe grew up in like the theater or something, and that's why they're so theatrical and why they play these like really sadistic games with their victims.
And both the characters are very animated. Like, she is very cutie. They do her hair in two long ponytails, and throughout the whole movie, she's twisting her hair and skipping and jumping, like very happy.
Yeah, it reminded me maybe of like The Purge or Strangers, and it was
Yeah.
definitely a really cool vibe that they both gave off.
Yeah, they played off each other because in every scene, pretty much, they're together.
Yeah.
So they played off each other. Really funny, really cool, really cute. I like how they did that.
Moving on from that, like, what do we think about? Okay, so all of the killers in this movie die, right? They end up meeting their maker, getting killed off by the different characters in the movie. So how do we feel about all of their deaths? So I think the first one is number 4, who's this giant, huge dude who's super ripped, and he
Yeah.
gets shot in the back, right?
Yeah.
By one of the characters, by David Burnham, right? So I think that although that is like I'm glad that he got what was coming to him. It wasn't the most satisfying death that we could have seen from that huge dude. We could have seen something more crazy, I think.
Yeah, like I think that almost like brought it in back to real life, and maybe they thought like we kind of want to make this seem really believable.
Yeah.
How do you take down this 300-pound muscle man? You're gonna have to shoot him.
Yeah.
Who's gonna fight this man?
Yeah,
So
for
maybe they
real.
kind of wanted to bring it back and say, okay, let's make this really kind of believable. Like this can happen in real life.
Yeah, totally. I mean, something that maybe I was thinking was that this guy is so huge and he's so massive and well built that it would have been too expensive to make the molds to end up killing him in a more creative way. So maybe
is
that has to
probably
do with
true as
it
well.
too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is a cool character and definitely like a scary dude, a scary, huge dude who kills people in like really creative ways in the movie. So that's that one. And then moving on, so player 1 has an off-screen death, right? We see it through a camera. So player 1 and then the main protagonist of the movie, the dad, Roy, are fighting and they're like in a brawl, and then they go off camera, and then player 1 walks back into the frame. We then find out later that player 1 was killed by, who's by the way played by Jason Levy, one of the guys on the production team. But we then find out later that Roy kills player 1 and then takes his outfit and dresses up as him to be able to then go and save his kids.
This is one of the first major twists we see in the movie. 'Cause
Yeah,
there is
definitely.
a lot of twists that we see happening here. So that was a really cool way.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wasn't expecting it when he takes his mask off. Like in the moment where they reveal that he's actually won that battle and he's killed player 1, I was honestly shocked.
Yeah.
Like truly shocked. So I thought it was a really cool twist that I was not expecting. Then I can't remember exactly how player 3 dies, the girl. Yeah, it's towards the end of the movie, but she gets killed off, and then the last one to go is player 4, David Howard Thornton. No, player 2, sorry, David Howard Thornton's character, and I thought that was a really cool death.
Yeah.
He gets burned alive on the stove in the kitchen of the hotel by Roy and the son, and I think that was a really cool death. And you see his face like melted off in the last scene. I think it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, they like literally pushed his head down on the stove and turned on the flame. It was brutal. It was, yeah.
Yeah, so we haven't talked about this yet, but I want to hear about what your thoughts are on the twist at the end of the movie, obviously.
Yeah, so this was another really big twist that I wasn't expecting. I mean, everybody in the theater seemed pretty shocked. So the main character, kind of the rebellious daughter, is in this hotel room throughout the whole movie. She sneaks out with a foreign boy she meets at the bar there, but towards the end, they can't find her. The father and the son are looking for her. We don't see her, and then she kind of gets stabbed in the stomach with the foreign boy that she met.
With a spear.
Yeah, with a spear, which was also another crazy one, and she's just stuck there. About 2 inches are in her.
Yeah.
And so towards the end of the movie, fast forwarding, the little brother is there with the dad, and we know that the dad is geared up to look like a player of one of the games. So she is walking behind him, and the father is crouched down with the son.
And they're having this nice moment, right? Where they're like, I love you. We're going to be okay. We're going to find your sister.
And everybody's like, woo, yes, they made it out. Like, this is the end of the movie. And then
she comes up behind the dad and spears him in the back, killing him because she obviously mistakes him for player one.
So they kind of have this moment. So during the whole movie, they kind of don't have the best relationship. So when she accidentally does this to him and he turns around and it's revealed that she, killed her father, we have this kind of 30-second moment of her realizing what she's done, which was just something like that, again, we weren't expecting.
Yeah, it was emotional for sure. Like,
Yeah.
he says like I forgive you, and she's saying she's so sorry that she accidentally killed him. And then we have this really badass moment, like right at the end. So Mr. Lockwood, who's the main bad guy played by Jeff Coombs, comes back to life and tries to kill her. And she pulls the axe out of the wall and cuts his head clean off, and his head goes rolling along the floor. And that's kind of like almost the last shot of the movie.
Yeah, you see it flying.
And it was badass. It was super, super cool.
Yeah, that's kind of the moment you wanted for her finally.
Yeah, yeah. So what do we think is in store like for the next movie? Do we think that they're going to be a part of it, the two kids?
It's hard to say. I think they might.
I think okay, so it's supposed to take place in a hospital, so maybe do you think that like the torture of having killed her own father drives her crazy? She ends up in the mental hospital and becomes part of the second game,
I mean,
second movie?
that would be freaking awesome.
That would be cool.
We can also maybe speculate that the ambulance take them to the hospital to kind of recover their wounds.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And bam, the nurses are trying to kill them, this, that, and the other. So
Yeah, that's so true. That would also be really, really cool. And it would be cool if their killers are dressed up as nurses and doctors. That would be a really
yeah.
cool aesthetic choice.
So either one of those two, I think, is gonna play into this. We'll see. That would be really cool. But I definitely think this is gonna be a franchise that's gonna have a few movies because it was really good. And if you haven't seen the movie, definitely go and see it. Tell your friends, your family about it. We want to support small production companies. We want to support people in this community that have a true passion for horror. It's horror lovers making movie for horror lovers. So
Yeah.
definitely go and support them.
I mean, the whole budget for the movie was crowdfunded during COVID. I think that they said that the whole budget was ended up being less than $1 million.
Yeah.
So it really is. It's the most DIY it can get, and they're really putting everything into it to make a banger movie, and it ended up being really cool. And yeah, the concept's great. The execution was really good. The setup for the next movie and like the different directions it could go was awesome. So let me ask you, let's think, who's your favorite character in this movie?
You know who it is.
The drunk guy?
The drunk guy.
Yeah, he's definitely a great comedic relief. What do you think
Yes.
about his death?
In the middle of the movie, it was about 2 minutes that everybody in the entire theater was just cracking up. I mean, he plays a drunk guy so well. He's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I
And-
wouldn't be surprised if he just got done at the hotel bar and then went straight into the set and started filming.
Yeah,
'Cause
like-
he definitely seems super drunk.
I want to know, like, was he actually drunk? Because he looked it. And yeah, they kind of turn off the lights, and when the lights are turned back on, he's almost like he's hanging from like a light pole thing.
Yeah, impaled like
Yeah.
through the
Ooh.
back of the head, through his mouth. It reminded me of like that Hot Fuzz moment, where like the spike goes up through the mouth.
Yeah, or almost Halloween,
Yeah,
just
oh yeah, totally, exactly. So yeah, definitely a super cool kill. So that's your favorite character in the movie. I think maybe my favorite character is either Roy, the dad, right? Because if you look at his arc as a character, he's kind of like a little scared of everything that's going on. He's maybe not the strongest dude, but then he ends up killing player one and going to end up saving his kids. And then in his final moments, he forgives his daughter for killing him. And I think that's pretty noble. So it's either
Yeah.
him or it's the daughter. And the reason I say that is because while the daughter like is having problems with her parents and she's being rebellious and she's lashing out or whatever, she chooses to return back to the hotel to be with her family.
Yeah, I think she's probably like speaking main character wise, like I definitely think the daughter would be my favorite character, but as a secondary one, definitely
The drunk guy.
the drunk guy. Like he doesn't have a lot of parts in the movie, so I think it's kind of silly to say he's my favorite main character because he's not that in it that much. Just every single time he was on screen, I was crying laughter. So
So yeah, we watched the movie. We thought it was awesome. We definitely felt the same way as everyone in the audience that we had a super super fun time. But then I think the best part about this night was right after we listened to and watched a Q&A with David Howard Thornton, who stars in the movie. Obviously, he plays the iconic role of Art the Clown in the Terrifier movies. So what were our takeaways from listening to what David had to say about the movie and about his life?
He is actually such a sweet guy, and he's honestly really inspiring. Like
And humble.
he's so humble, he's so sweet, and you know, he actually has a degree. He was going to be a teacher, and he sadly lost his mom in college, and it kind of just made him reevaluate his life and like what he wanted for himself. So he moved to New York. He was actually a waiter for about 13 years, I think he said,
Yeah.
and just wanted to be an actor. And he saw, the first Terrifier, they were doing auditions for Art the Clown. He thought, hey, it would be great to just go and audition and just kind of get, a little bit of experience of doing like a real audition and seeing how everything worked. And obviously that was his big break. So, this is something that he wanted and worked on his whole life, but specifically being in New York, being a server for over 10 years, just trying to make it any way he can. And he did. So he's such a sweet guy. And he talked for about 15 minutes. We're going to insert the clip of the Q&A that we recorded of him at the end of this. So stick around if you want to see that. And yeah, he spoke a little bit about the movie. I did ask him what his favorite scene was to film. And he said the tic-tac-toe on the stomach. So that was also one of my favorite ones and one of the most creative ones. So he said he really loved filming that. It took over a day because he said that Damien would have to do one piece and then go back and then work on the next piece and then go back and then work on the next one. So it was a process. Each time they had to.
Yeah, each time they made a move, he had to take hours out of his day to, draw the next line or whatever.
Yeah, so it took a little bit, but he said that was his favorite to film and was his favorite one, and it also was mine.
Yeah, another thing I took away from the things he said was, to get out there and do it. He said that someone asked him how he got into acting and what sort of inspired him, and he said that he did church theater growing up. He always wanted to be, and then he started doing community theater and wanted to do commercials. He said a lifelong dream of his was to star as the Joker, and he actually fulfills that role in a YouTube short series. He's going to be in an upcoming movie that they were promoting called Screamboat, which is a horror version of Steamboat Willie, and he will be playing Screamboat Willie. Apparently, the costume is crazy.
I'm really excited to see that one.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that one as well. But yeah, he just seemed like the most. He just seemed like and is the most humble dude. I think someone even asked him, "How does it feel to be a horror icon?" And his response was, "I couldn't possibly call myself that. If you want to call me that, that's fine. But to me, I don't match up to these icons like people who played Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. And I mean, look at Art the Clown, and then there's this movie which he did a killer
fantastic
job.
and it's two completely different characters. Like one, he plays a mime clown in makeup, and this one you can't even see his face. So he killed it both times. He's a great actor. He's a lovely guy. Something else that was actually really funny that he told us was like we said before, as they were filming in this hotel room, there was an old lady who kept threatening them, basically saying, get out of here, what are you guys doing? And he's covered in blood. They're recording this movie. She has no idea that they're recording a movie. She probably thinks he's some psychopath. And he said it was really scary but funny at the same time.
Yeah, and then I think she took a picture of him through the peephole or something,
Yeah.
and showed, what would you think if you saw this through your peephole in your hotel at 2 a.m?
Yeah, so this is kind of what they were dealing with during filming this. So I just thought it was kind of funny.
But yeah, all round, you should definitely go and check it out. It's on a limited run. I think it's only going to be in theaters this week or this weekend. So definitely get out there and see it, and then also support this company, this production company.
Yeah, Fuzz and the Lens Productions, you're doing a great job, and I think everybody's really excited to see what you guys do from here on out.
Yeah, I think I saw that they have 6 or 7 movies in the works right now, as well as Terrifier 3, which is coming out on October 11th. So yeah, follow these guys on Instagram, go and look at their YouTube and look at all of their, the behind the scenes stuff and all the short films they've done in the past, because they're definitely going to be a huge name in horror. very soon, and they are already, honestly. I think that about wraps it up for today and our review of Stream and our overview of our Q&A with David Howard Thornton and our summary of the history of like Fuzz on the Lens.
Yeah, go and see the movie. Check it out. We're going to insert the clip of David Howard Thornton speaking at the end of this, so stick around if you want to watch it.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
David, what was it like making this flick? I know that I talked to the guys while they were shooting it, and you like took over that whole hotel, right? You took over that whole hotel, right? Tell me what that was like.
That was nuts because we filmed that like in the heart of COVID before the vaccines and all that came out. So we basically had to test every single day we were on set. We were supposed to be quarantined in there, but apparently they still had some other guests. It's a massive hotel in Gettysburg. And they still had other guests there, and they didn't tell these guests that we were filming a horror movie. And I almost died. I'm not kidding you. There was the scene where I'm like going down the hallway, stalking and stuff like that. We're doing a take after take after take after take, and all of a sudden this door opens up at the end of the hallway. This woman comes out, like, "Whatever you're doing down there is very effective. We are Second Amendmenters, and you almost got shot." She had a gun in her hand. And she apparently had been taping me through the peephole of her door. And so she showed us the footage. And yeah, I would be scared too if you didn't know they were filming a horror movie, because I'm going down the hallway covered in blood. The lights are going weird. I have that weird mask on. I'm so glad I didn't stop and look in that door. I'm just like, oh my God. But it was wild. It was really cool because you know, we're all quarantined in there together, and occasionally they'll bring different people in different days to film and stuff like that. So it was like every day you would wake up and like, okay, who's on set today? Because we had all these legends from all these horror movies I grew up on. So it was just the most fun thing for me to do. Even like if I wasn't filming that day, I would see if I could go and watch Jeff down there on set, Jeff and Tim doing their thing, and it was like it was a fun learning experience just for me to be able to watch like these film legends do their thing right there. It was great. A lot of fun.
Well, you interact with them so well, and it's so fun to see all of the modern horror icons and classic horror icons coming together on screen. You mentioned the mask that almost got you shot. I assume those things are not bulletproof. What's it like working in this?
No, this is a very low maintenance version of the mask that I wore. This is a prop mask. This is not the one I actually wore on set. Yeah, they were very confining in a lot of ways, very hard to breathe in, and it's especially when we're doing the hot tub sauna scene in there with the married couple. It got very, very warm in that because we're also filming that during the summertime, and it was like every take I would have to take off that mask because I could barely breathe on that mask, and you deal. I think I prefer the clown makeup.
You mentioned the clown makeup, right? Of course, everybody knows that you are Art the Clown from Terrifier. How is this player different? I thought I saw some art mannerisms up there. I saw a little bit of Mean One too. How's it different playing this role?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to take a different take on this character than Art, because they're both silent characters and they're both very theatrical. So I tried to find some different ways to play this character as opposed to how I play Art, especially since you can't see his face except for his eyes in this one. So I decided to make him more like he and his sister were like, from like a theatrical background with like maybe in the circus or something like that, or dancers or something like that. So I wanted to make him more fluid with his movements and stuff like that, and I guess it worked. I don't know.
Definitely. He says work, there you go. Yeah. So of course we know Damien Leone is the director of the Terrifier flicks, and he created some crazy makeup effects in this movie. What was it like working with Damien? He's not behind the camera, he's not calling the shots, he's in a corner working on chests and blood, and what was that like?
It was a different experience this time because I think he was a lot less stressed because he's not having to wear so many hats. He just had to come in and do practical effects. So, oh boy, my southern accent just came out.
Yeah,
but he would like basically go in his room all day and he would be editing Terrifier 2. And so he'd be there and they're like, Dave, we need you to come out here and like put a tic-tac-toe board on someone's chest. He's like, okay, and he'd just come out and just do his makeup and he'd just go back to editing. So I think he was having more of a vacation than anybody else on that set.
Strange way to have a vacation, cutting people up, but I guess that's how he gets down.
That's Damien.
Is there anything you can tell us about Terrifier 3?
People gonna die. A lot of people are gonna die. It's those that don't know, it's a Christmas movie, and so that's gonna be fun, tackling a new genre for art, I guess you could say, in a lot of ways. So I think it opened up some doors for us to be a little bit more creative with some kills in this one. And I'm gonna say we had it. This time it wasn't Damien himself doing all the practical effects by himself. We, because we had a bigger budget this time, we were able to hire on Christian Tinsley's makeup team to come in. A very, very talented group of people. I think that's where a big chunk of our budget went to. So the kills are even bigger and better this time around. So,
better than Terrifier 2?
Yes. Yes, and I want to address the one elephant in the room, because I know this gets around, about me getting sick on set. Yeah. That's not like publicity or anything like that. That there was one night I got very nauseous on set for something we were doing in a kill scene that makes me nauseous, and I think Damien deliberately put that in there to mess with me. And they wouldn't let me put like my stunt double or anything like that in because my face was in the shot. I'm like, great, thanks guys. So yeah, that's true. So yeah, so maybe when you see the movie, you'll try to figure out what scene was it that made me almost hurl. I didn't hurl though, but I almost did. So I was able to hold it in because I didn't want to ruin my makeup.
A true professional.
Yes.
Oh man, that's great. Well, don't eat before Terrifier 3. We also have some of the crew of Screamboat in the audience. Is there anything you can tell us about Screamboat? Keep in mind, the director is really close and very protective.
Oh boy. Or oh no. Yeah, Screamboat, we just wrapped on that recently with me. I had a lot of fun on that one. It's funny too because it's a full circle moment for me with this character, because my very first leading role I ever had was back when I was in 8th grade in middle school. I played Mickey Mouse in Mickey's Christmas Carol. And that was the show that made me really fall in love with acting and making people laugh, because we had a lot of mishaps happen on stage and I did a lot of improv. And I realized for once, because I was bullied growing up, I was for once having people laugh with me instead of at me. And I love that feeling. I was like, I want to do more of this, and that's what really got me into wanting to do theater. So it was a full circle moment for me to come back and play this character, a character I have loved my whole entire life, and tackle him in a whole new manner. And I think you're gonna be very, very happy. It's a very fun, silly movie. It's a lot of fun. Very hot costume though, as you know, they haven't released what I look like yet, but oh boy, it's something else. And I think we had a blast filming that, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We don't want to say too much about it, but we can't wait for you to see David when he's Screamboat Willie. He is it's something to see. So definitely stay tuned for that coming in January. How about another round of applause for David? We're going to take a couple of questions here. If you have any questions, just raise your hand and I'll try to get to you. Yeah, you're in the front. What's up?